Welcome in today's episode. My name is Dr. Godrey Wamai, working with Atlantis Life Science. We are specialists in animal production and animal health. So in today's episode, we are going to discuss on various conditions that affect animals after calving, or what we call the transition cow. The cow, like the last week of pregnancy, and then after calving down, and then the next like 0 days to 150 days. So welcome, and we are going to learn a lot, and we are going to see where we go wrong when the cow calves down, why we have animals that are not coming on heat after calving down, why animals are not producing well, and why animals get sick. So many conditions immediately after calving down. So welcome to today's episode. Thank you. One thing that we need to understand as a dairy farmer is that our key target, or as a dairy farmer, number one is we are targeting the milk production for that animal, and the other thing is we are targeting to get a calf. And usually we say that we get a calf from a cow every year. So for achieving a calf every year is not an easy task, and that's why we need to discuss some of the things that may help us to achieve that is achieving a calf every year. And one thing that we need to understand is that when the cow is almost giving birth or calving down, let's say a week before the animal calves down, two things happens. Number one is that the size of the fetus or the calf inside the uterus is really increasing at a very fast rate, and the demand for calcium is very high. So what will happen is in that last 1 week before calving, there might be some challenges where you find that the animal is not able now to stand, and the animal falls down because the calcium levels goes down, and therefore we need to prepare this animal to be able to calve down with ease, and then is able to pick immediately it calves down. So that means that whenever the cow is calving down, there is very high demand for calcium. This calcium is very important because number one, it will help us when the cow is calving down to calve with ease. That means there will be no issues with the dystocia. So the farmer will be able to get a calf without being intervening, or without the intervention of a vet, because the calf will be able to be born in an easy way. The other thing we'll be preventing is the cow might fall down before calving. So if we supplement this animal with high levels of calcium before 3-5 days before calving, we will really help this animal. So calcium, number one, will really help the cow be able to calve with ease. That is number one. Number two, this animal will be able to remove the placenta immediately after calving, because if the placenta is retained after calving, then so many issues come up. The reproductive problems now they start coming up, because what will happen is you'll call for a vet to come and remove the placenta, and before the placenta is being removed, there will be issues with infection. So maybe the infection will have entered that animal through that placenta. So we want to prevent those early infections in the uterus, because they will really work against us in this that we want to get a calf every year. So the first thing that you need to have a standby as a farmer who is serious with dairy farming is, if you know your cow is calving 5 days before calving down, kindly look for some product like Supercal. So Supercal is very rich in energy, it's very rich in calcium and phosphorus and vitamins. So this one we are trying to help the animal so that whenever it is calving down, then there will be no challenges when it comes to calving down. So provide Supercal 3 days before calving, and immediately after calving, provide calcium or Supercal. Why do we provide immediately after calving? Number one, we are preventing this animal milk fever. That is number one. Number two, we have said that we want this animal to release the placenta. And then number three, we want this animal now to start milk production. That means calcium plays a very vital role when it comes to milk production. So as a farmer, make sure you have Supercal before the animal calves down, and start giving 3 days before, and then proceed for the next like 1 week. In that, we'll have given that cow a very soft landing. Another thing that we need to note is that If we mismanage the animal immediately after calving, so many challenges will come and so many metabolic conditions will emerge. So there is an issue with energy. Once the animal calves down, there is very high demand for energy. And that means we need to supplement high levels of energy to this animal, because what will happen is if you don't give this animal the energy, it enters into a physiological condition we call negative energy balance. That means the animal requires very high levels of energy than what the animal can get. And this energy is coming from maybe the daily meal that you are giving, it's coming from the other supplements you are giving, but we have to make sure that the negative energy balance, which must happen to this animal immediately after calving, is rectified. So what do you do then? If you don't rectify or mitigate this negative energy balance, what will happen is the animal will start metabolizing its own body fats. When it starts metabolizing its own body fat, that process, that means the reserves which are in form of fat, when it starts metabolizing, that process requires a lot of energy. That means at a point, that process will come to a halt, and that animal will suffer from a condition we call ketosis. So you'll find that that animal, if you give it concentrates, especially the daily meal, the animal will not feed on the daily meal. The other thing that you'll be able to know this animal has ketosis is that you'll find if you a blade of the cow and the milk, you smell something like smells like an alcohol because of the acetone bodies. So that means if you don't supplement high levels of energy, immediately the animal calves down, chances are that animal is going to suffer from ketosis. The other thing is that animal will continue to metabolize its own body fat. What happens is that the healing process that should take place in the uterus in preparation for another conception will be very slow or will be delayed. That means immediately the animal calves down, the animal will delay so much before coming on heat. So that's why you find an animal has calved down, it is taking 7, 8, or even a year before that animal shows what? That animal shows signs of heat. Because whenever you feed an animal, it has the priorities. And priority number one for this animal is eat for survival. So the animal will feed just to survive. That is number one. If you supplement something further, you give an extra source of energy, that means that cow, apart from living now, it's able to produce. That is the time now the animal will give you milk. Another thing, if you now surpass the energy demands for production, that is the time now the priority number 3, which becomes the production, where we are saying you get a calf. That is now where the calf will come. That means the signs of heat. That means if you don't give enough energies, when the animal calves down, even animal coming on heat will be a problem. Animal healing the uterus after calving down will be an issue. So what do we do then? As a wise farmer, and because you know so many things might happen if you don't close this door for negative energy balance, you need to be aware, number one, of something like white energy. White energy, this is a bypass fat, is a lumen bypass fat. Fat metabolism, if you metabolize fat, and that's why the animal is metabolizing its own body fat to get energy, you'll get very high levels of energy. Being a fat, white energy is able to give energy like 3 times. Just give 100 grams of white energy on a daily basis to this cow, and therefore this animal is able to get the energy demands. So that means even the supplementation with the daily meal or the other concentrates, you lower the amount, because over supplementing with the concentrates at this time is also a risk, because the animal might suffer from what we call the lactic acidosis. That means now the animal which had no issues with the feet will start now having issues with lameness. So you just need a white energy, just 100 grams, mix in that daily meal, and that animal is able to get enough energy sources. What will happen is when you give white energy, because of the high energy, you'll notice a milk increase from this animal. And number 2, there are some cows that after milking for some time, you'll see that the milk, or what we call the butterfat content, has gone down. So what will happen is, if you give white energy, you improve what we call the butterfat content of this milk. So even for those people who are doing processing for something like butter, like cheese, then they will have very high quality milk for the processing of the other products. The other thing is that this animal, it requires an energy boost. We are saying that the demand for energy is very high. So number one, you have said you need to have white energy, which you are giving 100 grams per day per cow. And then number two, you need to have Ketonex. Ketonex, number one, is a very high energy product. Is a propylene glycol. So it's an immediate precursor for energy. So when you give Ketonex, immediately this animal calves down, then you are able to cushion that negative energy balance. So you give Ketonex, the first like 3 days the animal calves down, and then you continue maintaining it on white energy. Another thing about Ketonex, because we are saying this is just an energizer, this is just an energy boost. So what will happen is whenever the animal is sick, be it ECL, be it any other condition, the animal is sick, not feeding well, you require to give energy, even to fasten the healing, because every cell, for the healing to occur, then there must be high levels of energy. So you need to supplement with Ketonex if the animal is sick. Another time where you need to use Ketonex is when the animal, you see the animals that will fall down either because of milk fever or there are issues with, for example, ketosis. If it progresses, then the animal falls down. So yes, you'll give calcium, the IV one, then you maintain it on Supercal, the oral, but then you'll find that this animal, yes, it's feeding, it's active, but then the animal is still lying down. That means that this animal requires energy to stand, and that's where now Ketonex comes in. So whenever you have a downer cow, whenever you have a cow that is lying down, is unable to stand, the number one product that should be there is Ketonex. So give 3 Ketonex, 3 days, and then that animal will be sorted. Just give 2 or 40 mLs twice daily. In 3 days, that animal, you'll find it already standing, because it's only the energy that was missing, and then you have sorted out the issue with energy, and you have sorted it with Ketonex. So for us as farmers, if we need to close these doors that happen, or these doors that open when the cow calves down, then we must be very conscious of the calcium levels of this animal, and we must be very conscious of the energy levels of this animal. Because whenever the cow calves down, also remember, there is what we call the peak production. This is the time the animal now starts picking milk. That is from day 0 to around day 150. That means if the farmer does not capitalize on this during this period, that is the animal is able to reach peak production, that means that animal in that lactation period, the farmer has lost, because it will not have achieved the peak. That means even the drop will be very sharp, and therefore the farmer will have lost milk production during that time. So it is very important for a serious farmer, it's very important for a daily farmer, because we know, number one, we are targeting a calf every year, and we are targeting high milk production from these animals. Then we have to take care of calcium, that is number one, and that's why we are saying that you need to have Supercal standby. Give 3 days before calving, and immediately after calving, give like another 5 days. That animal is well sorted for calcium. But don't forget to give other mineral salts for a milking animal. The other thing is you have to be cautious of the energy, because energy, without energy, there should be so many metabolic diseases, and I've given examples of ketosis that is dealt with Ketonex. We'll have issues with lactic acidosis. We'll have issues with remuness, or what we call aminitis. You'll have so many issues with infertility because of just not supplementing with energy when the animal comes down. So for us, and for today, we are saying that for us to give this animal a soft landing or a soft transition from a dry period to a lactating animal, then we need to supplement with Supercal 3 days before calving, and continue like for another week after calving, and then we need to have Ketonex and white energy standby for the energy levels. Just give Ketonex 3 days after calving, and then maintain that animal on white energy for the next like 5 to 10 days. That animal will have sorted issues with the calcium, will have sorted issues with with energy, and therefore that means the animal will get good production. That is number one. You'll get now the animal will heal very fast, or what we call involution. So the healing of the uterus will be very fast, and therefore that means the animal will come on heat, and you'll be able to serve that cow, and therefore your target for one calf 1 year will be achieved. So thank you very much. For more information, tune in to the next episode. Thank you.